man, what a 24 hours that the Raptors just had. Huge deadline moves by the Raptors. I thought the Raptors were going to stay quiet and not make any moves, and hopefully JV returns and this team comes back to a full roster, and maybe they can make that push to the first place in the Eastern Conference. But with all the other teams making moves, maybe that instigated Masai and the front office to make the moves. But Bobby Webster and the crew decided they wanted to make a move, and it was a huge move. It was a huge move, guys. I'm still thinking about how huge of a move it was, if it was the right move. They traded away JV, Delon Wright, CJ Miles, and a 2024 second-round pick for Marc Gasol, who is an all-star, former Defensive Player of the Year. So it is a huge move. But Marc Gasol is 34 years old, so you're really looking to just squeeze the last bit out of the tank from him. But honestly, losing JV, I wanted to show off this jersey that I have of JV. But you know what? JV, he did great for our franchise. 7 years of great work for the Raptor franchise, and JV did it all. He was a warrior for the Raptors. He played hard. He gave it all he got. He adapted his game. He got slimmer, and he took a bench role and was happy about it, was professional about it, came off the bench in 33% of the games and let Serge Ibaka start, and he did fantastic coming off the bench. Sometimes he started, sometimes he finished the games in the fourth, depending on what who had the hot hand. And honestly, a great guy off the court as well, just a phenomenal player, tough guy to lose. Delon Wright, we drafted him as well, and he became a solid backup point guard for the Raptors. Really worked well with that bench mob. And CJ Miles, he didn't have that great of a season this year, but he was a shooter that the Raptors definitely needed. And he did win us a couple games in the Washington series last year. But honestly, it's tough to let the Raptors go of all three guys and a pick. But honestly, this trade is pretty much just JV for Marc Gasol, because the Raptors would probably pick up another shooter similar to CJ Miles off the buyout. And Delon Wright was somebody that we probably couldn't afford to sign just because of how much money he would probably ask for since his contract is up. So depending on that situation, Delon Wright was going to be lost regardless, and CJ Miles was probably going to be replaced regardless. It was pretty much just a JV who's 26 years old, 8 years younger than Marc Gasol, just to see if that really makes that big of a difference. But we will see what happens when Marc Gasol lands in Toronto and he meshes with this lineup. Now the depth chart is like this. Kyle Lowry starts. You have Danny Green at the 2, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, and most likely Marc Gasol will be starting. And then on the bench you have Van Vliet, you have Norman Powell, and you probably have a shooter that the Raptors would probably have to get to back up Kawhi Leonard. You have OG as the backup 4 and Serge Ibaka as your 5. Patrick McCaw and Jordan Lloyd will probably be the extra guards that you have as safety precautions. Boucher is probably your backup 5 at this point, but you definitely have space to sign guys. You have 3 spots you got to sign guys, and Masai's got to look for some shooting, maybe another 4, a defensive big maybe. Tons of things to look after, especially on the buyout market, which is apparently the biggest thing nowadays. It's becoming more of a trend to get somebody off the buyouts, some veteran help. Like last year, the Philadelphia 76ers signed Ersan Ilyasova and Marco Bellinelli. Good pickups, veteran pickups for that team. Some shooting from both angles. And honestly, that was very helpful for them in the playoffs and throughout the season, because they really needed that shooting and spacing for Embiid and Simmons. And they provided just that. A little spark like that is what the Raptors need. And maybe Masai and Bobby Webster can find something for the Raptors on the buyout market. Listening in on Masai's conference speaking about the Marc Gasol trade, he was very emotional about losing JV, Delon Wright, and CJ Miles. Making the phone call to JV was one of the hardest phone calls to make, and telling him the bad news that he was being traded to Memphis. But he also praised them about their hard work and their time that they spent in Toronto, especially Delon Wright and JV, who were both drafted by the Raptors. It also spoke about Monroe's production and Malachi Richardson, both their terms at the Raptor franchise, and he thanked them all. But he also praised Marc Gasol and what he brought to the franchise: a winner, toughness, three-point shooting, a person you can give to the low post to score, and somebody with size. He was just talking about that's the kind of guy that the Raptors are bringing. And in my opinion, he could be probably the number 2 option behind Leonard, or the 3rd option behind Siakam, because Kyle Lowry is probably your 4th option scoring-wise right now. And Kyle Lowry's your 4th option is fantastic, because he's not a guy that's going to be taking a high volume of shots, but he will find you in spots and he will get you the ball where you want it. Masai was also speaking highly about Marc Gasol's high IQ and his ability to get touches on the elbow. Raptors are ranked 28th in elbow touches in the NBA, and Marc Gasol leads the NBA in elbow touches for the past 5 years, as you could just adapt a new type of offense with Marc Gasol at the elbow. And with him at the elbow and him being such a great passer, he's the 2nd highest assist averaging center in the NBA behind Nikola Jokic. And with Pascal Siakam slashing through the lane, it could be a deadly combo right there with Marc Gasol's ability to pass the ball. And with his mid-range shot, you can really see that Marc Gasol could really space the floor, and he's got range at the 3-point shot as well. It could give Kawhi Leonard a little more space, a little more likely of a guy to knock down the 3 compared to JV and Ibaka. So in those situations in crunch time, when you go isolation, they can't just help off Ibaka or JV, because Marc Gasol is now in the corner, and it'll just make that thing rain. So this is a good addition in terms of your starting 5, and your late game execution will be fantastic since you have more options offensively and defensively. JV is not the greatest on defense, but he did make improvements. But Marc Gasol is a former Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. He was part of that grit and grind Memphis Grizzlies. You can tell that he's just a better defensive player overall if you've seen him. He is older now, but I still believe he is capable of defending better than JV. We'll have to see how the team meshes with the new starting lineup, but I still believe Marc Gasol will start. That's going to be the main question. Serge Ibaka's having a great season, but I believe Marc Gasol should start. Ibaka should be coming off the bench, and that should be a roster right there. We'll be talking about the buyout market in another video. Until next time, guys. Peace. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to the Raptors Wrap Up. Smash that like button, guys. Until next time. Deuces.